Thank you, Rivington. As he mentioned, a much-needed victory there for TSM after a somewhat disappointing loss yesterday against Cloud9. Already mentioned a little bit by Bjergsen there. I kind of want to look at the differences between yesterday's game and today's game in that both they did have early gold leads. However, today they were able to press that gold lead and turn it into a victory through what seemed to be very, calm pressure, calm, consistent pressure throughout the mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, they never really faltered. Enemy, being one of the new teams, they really focus on, grabbing a couple kills. But TSM, they stayed objective-focused gameplay. They knocked down outer turrets. They stacked up dragons, controlled, and they finally just, walked it home.
Yeah, and I think the big difference in the play style was whenever Dyrus would die somewhere, or whenever somebody would die on a side lane to flares, they were like, all right, let's get a turret for that. And then when you saw when Otter's like, oh, I'm on a solo mission, 3 people come to him after a team fight, enemy gets nothing off of that except Otter dying. Right? They didn't.
When Turtle gets caught out, he runs away up the lane, tries to drive people away, and they get turret.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like Otter did that as well. He tried to clear a wave underneath the tier 2 turret, and then it's like enemies still just trying to back, and they're not doing anything with his sacrifice.
Right, whereas in the other instance, TSM was pushing up the mid lane and putting pressure on that turret. On the side of enemy, I guess we did talk about how they did prioritize kills. They had a lot of gold onto a singular person in flares on Hecarim. However, that didn't net anything beyond that, besides having a singular threat. And so you have to wonder, when you are going up against the consistent pressure that TSM was applying, and without having champions built for wave clear, where and how they should have played that Hecarim around the map as opposed to straight into team fights.
So I think Hecarim in team fights is still really good. This is a flanking composition with Evelynn and Hecarim. You want to be able to wrap around. Evelynn can place a ward behind them within stealth, and then it's like, oh, TP home guard into the fight, right? And then Otter has no front line. And it came down to the way enemy was trying to play this comp was they weren't trying to flank with it. They were trying to just straight up 5v5. So because they were doing that, and I actually have a replay around the Baron that I think showcases this.
We'll pull that up right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because Hecarim, he's fed at this point, right? He has so much gold on him, and they drop the ball here. They clear the vision out. They make sure that TSM can't see this pit. Bjergsen, you can see on the minimap, is far away. Turtle is very far away. He doesn't even pop his ultimate to get to this fight, so he's not going to arrive any faster. Start rolling it out, and you can see Flares has his ultimate up there. They've cleared the pit. There's a pink ward there. They didn't pull off and try to bait it. If everybody had just put the pink ward down, they walked away from the Baron, Dyrus would have thrown his ultimate into Fog of War, and it would have been wasted. Flares gets chunked out, and he never gets an opportunity to use his ultimate. And like I said, Evelynn Hecarim is the front line for this team, and Otter's positioning becomes crucial. And in this fight, he chose to go forward to try and get Bjergsen. And the build that Flares had selected for himself, which is Black Cleaver, Iceborne Gauntlet, it's not as bursty as, let's say, a Trinity Force, right? So he didn't opt to go for a build where he dives the back line, tries to one-shot Bjergsen or Wild Turtle, and then continue the fight from there, which may have been a more optimal build for this situation.
I think my problem isn't even with the lack of bursty build. It's that you rush into this Iceborne Gauntlet build against a
Rumble,
like all AP team. Basically, if you're going to be one-shotting the AD carry, the rest of their team is all AP. Magic resist. If you're gonna go into 4 AP people, you need magic resist.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do see the point in that the Black Cleaver and the Iceborne Gauntlet provide a slightly more sustained damage as opposed to the burst damage.
It's got some CDR on it, and his W comes up more often. He's a little tankier, through that whole thing. But,
there's definitely a situation in which that build is awesome.
Yes.
I don't feel like this was that situation.
Yeah, and so instead, what should have been done, in my opinion, is that they should have said, stay in the side lanes, revert the build to something that is a little bit more 1v1 oriented. Since you're going up against the Rumble, you probably don't need Iceborne Gauntlets. Instead, let's go Trinity Force and get a Spirit Visage in there and have you apply the pressure around the map that counteracts the siege that TSM is laying down, because we can't afford to fight them straight up. I think if that strategy had been applied, perhaps we see a different result here in this game.
Yeah, and Black Cleaver is great, right? Like, Black Cleaver is awesome, but there isn't enough armor to really warrant buying that item. So I definitely agree that
I think we do need to
push thing.
Give credit to TSM for the constant pressure.
Yes.
Enemy is a new team. They're dealing with this constant pressure from TSM, on all of their objectives. And it looked like, it's a kind of desperation play. You're only a little bit behind during that Baron replay. But if you trap all yourselves in Baron Pit versus the 4 AP team with a Rumble Ultimate blanketing the door, then that's a make or break play right there.
I love the call from Enemy to go for the Baron at that point. That was the absolute best time they could have called for it. While Turtle's back, it's a great opportunity. The execution on it just falls flat. So like props to Enemy there, props to TSM for executing that fight well on their part. So like kind of props all around, but also like it's kind of a situation that probably shouldn't have happened.
Okay, you can give them.
I will give them props and I will slap their wrist at the same time.
Participation medals are being handed out right now on the analyst desk.
Hey,
anyway, we'll be right back after this quick break with our 5th and final game of the day, Team Dragon Knights versus Gravity. So don't go anywhere.